All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of Podcasting. I'm DJ Impact, and I got all of the bad boys here with me this week, including King Lucky. How are you, King?
I'm doing well. The quarantine cowboys here.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Fucking
Well,
Quentin Quarantino over there.
Like a quarantine cowboy.
Well, look, man. Well, good to see you this week, man. Let's get right to our three three counts.
Did you forget what? Did you forget what?
You know what?
That's all, folks.
You know, I'm just juggling things over here. You know, I'm just like juggling. Yeah. So here's the first one, and this comes from WrestlingInc.com, and it's titled "Hugo Salvanage believes Vince McMahon may possibly sell." So, according to this story, I guess that Hugo here, he's a former commentator, and WWE commentator, and he says that
announcer. Spanish.
One more time?
Spanish.
Gotcha. That they're eager to put the Saudi story behind him. And one of the reasons why is because he believes that, wow, possibly for $8 billion, WWE maybe would like to sell this to the Saudis, right? Because apparently the money that the Saudis make is on oil, and they're looking at the future, and oil isn't the future. So they need to figure out how to jump into some new form of business that can continue to bring in money. And they see this as being WWE as it's WWE money. No way could even compare to the oil money that brings in. But, hey, I guess it's still a business they could be a part of. So nevertheless, he believes, and apparently he stresses how much he is a huge supporter of Trump and everyone, that he believes that through the connection of Vince McMahon and with Trump, this easily can take place. And he sees this as possibly being something that could happen. Now, let's be real. When you read, he had a whole lot to say on this, and a lot of people had a lot of comments on it. Despite the fact that you believe he's crazy or not, and I'm sure you guys have some words to say on this, we're just kind of curious. First off, what is the chances of you ever thinking that there's a possibility of Vince McMahon wanting to sell his baby fully and totally to, to the Saudis or anyone that's not even a part of his family? Just get rid of it, and I guess, hey, I created it, so I'm going to destroy it before I'm out. Is that really what Vince would do? I don't think so. Fellas, I'm just curious. I know you read the story. You've heard what others had to say about it. Let me go with you on this one, Sin City Steve. What's your take when you read this whole story?
So, honestly, I wish I could say that I was surprised. But there's been a rumor that's been going for a while now that Disney was looking to purchase the WWE. And that's been something that's been rumbled about for a while now. That wouldn't necessarily surprise me. Now, selling it to the Saudis, I don't buy that. I definitely, if Vince would ever sell his baby and, part ways with it, wash his hands clean, it would be, in my opinion, to Disney, because Disney would overpay for it. But also you would have to look at it from a business point of view. Regardless of whether or not he's the owner of the company at a certain point, Vince McMahon and the McMahon family will always be attached, in at least the public eye, to WWE. So Vince is a very, very proud individual. As a result, I would only see him selling it to somebody that has their own type of a content platform, a major player such as Disney, because obviously they own ESPN, they own a shitload of things. They own definite, content distribution channels and avenues to where they could further the WWE brand. I don't think that he will sell to anybody, but if he would sell to anybody, it would not be the Saudis, in my opinion. It would be to Disney.
Okay. Let me ask you, King Lucky. I know the article said that that because UFC sold for I guess for $5 billion, I guess $8 billion would be a good price for WWE. What was your whole take when you read this? You see any of this possibly ever being the case?
Well, I mean, since Steve mentioned, I definitely see it as being, some part of it as being factual. I just don't think that it would be sold to, as this article mentions, Saudi Arabia. I can't see it being sold to a foreign country.
Okay.
Because you would then lose out on so much revenue domestically. And I think even if you did sell it, like he said, maybe to a Disney or somebody like that, I think one of the key components is it has to be is that you have to have people that are currently within the, key officer positions that be part of the structure, So while Vince may be done with it and he may sell it off, but I think that, Triple H staff and a few other high-ranking officers would have important roles in the company. But the crux of this article, I don't believe it to be factual. I think all the work they did with the troops and the other things that they believe, I just don't think they would sell it to a country that is not as far along as they should be with their morals.
Interesting. Okay, well, I mean,
fuck are you talking about?
Hey, will you take it, Matt Michaels?
Yeah,
Matt Michaels, tell us what your thought is on that.
Well, let's start off with the whole moral thing. Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's A. B. Hugo Savinovich? The fuck? Why are we listening to Hugo Savinovich?
Who the fuck is that?
Well, we know who the fuck he is because people used to crash through his table. But, I mean, the guy hasn't been relevant with the company for years now. He got fucking canned, a handful of years ago. It's probably a decade now or more. And, dude, it's just like, why are you looking at wrestlinginc.com for stories? Because not only is the story just fucking ridiculous, but every time I'm trying to read shit, I get 15 ads popping up. Thank you, DJ.
You're welcome. But let me ask you, Simon Street, come on now. This is Saudi money. Why wouldn't they consider if they were interested in selling to sell it to them?
Because it's real simple. Let's just play devil's advocate. If WWE sells their whole entire product to the Saudis, it will be changed culturally. It will be changed.
Yeah, but you're also assuming that it's going to be out of Saudi Arabia.
It's not going to be out of Saudi Arabia, but let's be honest.
But
it's going to change.
No, why?
I could tell you right now because WWE is an American product, and I do agree a little bit with what King Lucky said. You're going to miss out on domestic revenue.
All the fucking money that the Saudis have in this country right now, they ain't saying shit about stuff. It's an investment. They're not producing the product. They're going to fucking hire the staff. You're going to have the CEO in control. They just want a fucking money front. That's all this would be.
Well, that's cute. But at the end of the day, it's not going to work. It's just not going to fucking work. I hope it doesn't happen. Not going to fucking work because money doesn't solve every fucking thing. I mean, if that's the case, please show us your price tag.
What are you talking about?
I'll wait. I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, it's the dumbest fucking article ever. This article is not even based in anything that's relevant. Like
No,
we're seriously talking for like 10 minutes now about something that will never fucking happen. We have a better chance of like, I don't know, Alaska government buying WWE and making a headquarters there. Let's talk about that.
Alaska government? Do you not even know Alaska's part of our
My
country?
point is, it does not fucking make sense. Let's move the fuck on. I have nothing to say about this article. Out of all the three, this was the horrible one. Sorry. This is just dumb. Move on.
I gotta say, I agree with him on that.
Well then.
All right. Let's go to the end of our second count. This one is from essentiallysports.com. And it is titled WWE Storyline Bitterly Divides the WWE Universe. So, of course, if you all have now been watching SmackDown, one of the storylines that's been going on is the one with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus.
Hated it.
And well, you know what? I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, it says the universe is divided. Let me first do this before we even go. Just by, I know we're doing this in video and audio, so let's do a show of hands and by saying I, if you agree that this is a bad storyline.
Oh.
Okay, so I got one. Oh, okay, so I got you're the only one. Okay, so that means the other.
So here's the thing. My view on this is simply this.
Okay.
The idea of this storyline, I don't necessarily have a problem with, but the execution has been subpar for me. So
okay.
It has been sloppy.
Wait, you mean Sheamus interrupting a Jeff Hardy match where Jeff, who's been around for 20 years, actually stops and looks at the screen and doesn't think in his head he's going to get rolled up?
And he completely paralyzed in awe of the screen.
Sheamus is like, was that it? He was looking at that glass going, wow, that's a huge Guinness, man.
Right. Yeah. That's my problem is it not the storyline itself, but the execution.
The execution. Okay. Well, King Lucky, being that you was the only one who raised a hand, give me what's your take.
I said from the beginning, this storyline was shit. Not only that, but we've seen it before. And if you don't have somebody as good as, let's say, CM Punk, who was in this storyline with him before to execute it, what's the payoff? Like, when did that storyline happen, Lucky? Many years ago.
Okay. Did you remember that storyline, or did you remember it once it was given to you in the article?
No, I remember.
Well, I think we all
time ago.
Yeah, I think we all remember because he took shots at CM Punk's dad being an alcoholic and shit, and saying he was going to be an alcoholic too.
But here's my thing is like, what's in the end of all of this? What is the payoff?
I don't know.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
End game? Like, I'll tell you one part of the storyline that is actually amusing is the bar thing, where they'll have a bar fight. That's the only amusement that I've got out of this whole thing, and maybe the piss thing. But overall, I mean, it's done in poor taste, and both of these guys really can't deliver promos that well. So you're trying to sell me a story that I don't know. I just don't care about, and I don't. So,
well, I was entertained what was said this past week when he said butthole. I thought that was just brilliant. I haven't heard that word in a while. Butthole. That was the best part of SmackDown, by the way, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But so it seems like, though, that people are, according to the Upset with the Universe, that it's the storyline that it has to do with alcoholism, right? So according to the statistics,
fingers covering your face.
Yeah, man, you are pointing at the screen like so hard.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Great podcast. This great visuals today. Raising hands and pointing fingers. Excellent podcast, gentlemen.
It's only going to get better.
I'm sure the listeners are going to love all these visuals.
Yeah.
It says that an estimated 88,000 die from alcohol-related causes annually, and it's making alcohol the third leading preventable cause of death in the United States. So, I mean, with that, I guess the way that it's being looked at is not just the fact that the execution of it is just horrible, but the fans seem like they just have an issue with this being a storyline, period. And of course, we've had this, we talked about this being a storyline before, but is this something that should have been thought about from the beginning on taking on a topic like this, or it's no different than any other topic that they have taken on before? Anybody?
So my thing is this: how many people? I'm genuinely curious. How many people that have spoken out against this storyline and this type of a storyline are proponents of bringing back the Attitude Era? Seriously,
right?
I'm genuinely curious, because this is a storyline that we would see in the Attitude Era.
We saw it in WCW
very similar
too.
to it.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of people are looking back at the Attitude Era through rose-colored glasses, that this was such a great time for storylines and everything for the business. But at the same time, those people are also clutching their pearls and complaining about storylines involving alcoholism and other edgy things. You can't have it both ways.
Well, let me ask you this, because what I see on AEW right now is Hangman Page, right? That's a totally different storyline involving alcohol, where they're glorifying, his drinking and things like that, with like Stone Cold, like you mentioned, with the Attitude Era. But then with Jeff Hardy, this is something that he struggled with. So that's the reason why I have an issue with.
Come on. No, stop.
Ridiculous.
Freaking Scott Hall, WCW.
Yeah.
Legitimately had an alcohol problem and was doing a storyline while trying to recover from alcoholism, going in and out of recovery.
That was in poor taste too.
But I'm just saying exactly what Sin City Steve said. We didn't have a fucking problem with it in the Attitude Era, so we shouldn't have a fucking problem with it now. I do agree with Sin City Steve that it was done poorly. I feel like it could have been better executed. I felt like it was a little too chopped up. There were some cute things like the piss test thing. That was cute. Throwing piss in someone's face when it was apple juice. Yeah, cute. But it was just a little piss poor.
And
but
that was for people who had there. And by the way, that's for people who actually saw that segment. I mean, that for the West Coast, a lot of people got that segment cut off, and Fox was like, nah, we're not going to have that. But yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but yeah, it seems like, I hear what you're saying, what King Lucky, but that's what the article is saying, is that what people seem to have an issue with is because of Jeff Hardy's battle with the substance. And look, granted, we know that he gave them the okay.
Yeah.
Bingo. Exactly.
So we do know that. On the other hand, though, are other people who's battling this issue?
Okay. Let's stop it right here. Let's make a very fucking valid point. The guy has personal issues and they're using it as a storyline. Fine. The problem is this. Once again, we're associating the performer instead of the character.
Yeah.
If you look at any fucking actor out there who is or has been or was a junkie on anything and then went on to play a junkie on something they had experience for, it's like, oh my god, that performance was fucking amazing.
It's true.
So let's just get past this fucking piddly shit of, man, it's just, he's had a, fuck it, man. He made his choices in life. He fucked up many a times. And you know what? It takes balls to go out there and say, I fucked up. All right? And he fucking goes out there and he fucking tries to deliver shit from the bottom of his heart.
Yep.
I don't give a shit if he doesn't communicate well. Lucky, this guy doesn't have good promos. Neither does Sheamus. All right, Sheamus was one of the biggest fucking over things when he was a baby face. If you fucking don't remember,
Yeah, because it was Triple H's boy, and they pushed him through the moon.
So what?
That was fucking crimes. That's to the moon.
You always complain about, oh, they only use the same fucking people all the time, and then they try something like that. Oh yeah, come on, dude. You don't fucking go, oh, I wish I'd. In fact, I think there was a particular person in a chat room recently who brought up different names of people that he was so disappointed that they didn't use these people right. I wonder who that could have been. Let's.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely me, and I was talking about Tyler Breeze and Fandango. So
yeah, because they
don't have to go look for it. I'll tell you
better in AEW. Come on, dude.
I don't like the storyline. So that's
I like the storyline.
Everybody else has their own opinion.
I like the storyline, but I will say, because it's something that Jeff Hardy is actually realistically gone through, I think the problem is how they made the setting. I think and I'm saying this with a grain of salt, they started off with a good intention of setting the scene, but once that got botched, I feel as though like they've been trying to recover since then. And I feel like there's trying to make this storyline, the story beat work. Of course
they're trying to recover. It's an addiction storyline.
Okay, yes, I see your point. Very, very well put. But I am saying that where I would like to see this go is if we combine this with a resurgence of Jeff Hardy, to where this is like his obstacle, his hump to get over this. And yes, I know, because it's the business, he has to have an opponent. It's Sheamus. Yes. So Sheamus probably represents alcoholism, how it's always going to linger in your past. It's always going to be a part of who you are. You have to stare back at your past and the decisions you've made. So hopefully what I'd like to see is he overcomes Sheamus, he overcomes this, and then maybe he gets a push towards, I don't know, something great like a championship of some sort. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Just another thing for all the marks to fucking go, they're pushing Jeff Hardy now? Old. Come on. And then you want to talk about, we're talking about Jeff Hardy. Everyone's focusing on Hardy. Is no one going to point out the fact that Sheamus is Irish and it's fucking stereotypical?
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's true.
That is true. Fucking, then get in on that shit.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. I did think about that when I was watching them go back and forth. I'm like, look, bro, stereotypically, Sheamus is Irish and he's going to be drinking a pint.
And that's why he's playing it like that.
Yeah.
He
gets life.
It. Jeff gets it.
Yeah.
These guys are grown fucking ass men. If you don't like it, then change the fucking channel, Lucky.
Exactly.
But you can't. You can't, because you're a fucking mark.
Don't be a butthole. Don't be a butthole.
Hey, Smarkavelli, baby. One part of the product I don't like, I'll watch the show.
Well, hey, so again, they're Lucky is a part of the group that's divided over this particular storyline. So it's a lot of them, I guess, Matt Michaels, that that agrees with what he is saying. I guess the bottom line, though, is how this is, and I don't know, maybe the fans, like, I wish we knew a little bit more. Are they just straight marks, or are these people maybe that dealt with these types of issues as well? Maybe if not alcoholism, maybe it was something else. So when they see this being portrayed, they look at themselves as being a part of this and says, well, I wouldn't like that if this was me. Maybe it's a subject that they can't. I'm just throwing things out there,
But you want to talk maybes? Maybe there's at least one fucking person out there who sees this storyline and goes, you know what? I don't want to end up like that. I want to clean up my fucking
bingo.
Right.
Yep.
You know what? There's two sides to every fucking coin. Flip it in the air, see what fucking side it falls on. If it falls on tails, you're on my side. If it falls on heads, you're a fucking smark like this jackass down there.
Damn, he even gave the location and everything. He said down there. Shit. But you know what? You know what is kind of interesting though, is the reason why I find it odd that some people even have a problem with this is because it's been done so many times. It's really nothing new. And if you are a Smark, and you probably have watched the product and you've been a Smark for 15, 20 years. So you've seen this same exact storyline be portrayed at least 4 times. Let's just be honest.
How happy lucky were you to see Hawk climb the Titantron?
I don't agree anytime these things are done.
So well, why is that? I mean, is that from a personal experience, or did you know somebody?
I just
think, I'm just curious.
No, not from a personal experience. I mean, I did have an uncle that died of cirrhosis of the liver from alcohol, but it's not touching that point for me. I just think that there's better quality storylines to be written and to be had, than this. And in this particular instance, just this one, to me, Jeff is at the end of his career. So there's not going to be this huge payoff where it may be a title involved. And if it is, I'm wrong, but I just don't like, to me, I'm not sold on the storyline.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Did you want to add anything else, Sin City? I know you've been over there on the, listening.
No, I think that, like I said, the actual idea of the storyline, I don't have an issue with. It's the execution. There are some things that they did that, it is what it is. I'm not ever going to fault these guys for attempting to be creative, especially in a time like this where we as consumers of content need to understand that there are certain limitations that these companies have. So we should see these companies grasping for straws, throwing random things on the wall, seeing what sticks, and attempting to be creative rather than just trotting out, okay, well, here's your match card, and there's not going to be any kind of angles or storylines or, sports entertainment, if you will, in addition to the wrestling. So, as long as they're attempting that and attempting to be creative, I can't fault them necessarily on the idea of presenting these storylines.
Right, yeah.
It's just the execution that kind of takes me out of it. That's it.
I think here's the thing. If you are listening, oh, great ones at the WWE.
We know they are.
I'm just saying, if you are listening, please.
Just saying.
I'm giving you your next storyline. Okay. Otis comes back, and Mandy is very ill. Very, very sick. She's on a breathing tube because she's got COVID.
Oh, jeez.
God damn, that's grim.
Okay.
I'm just saying, hey, if these guys tested positive for COVID, play it into a storyline. I've got no problem with that because it's a fucking storyline.
Yeah.
Period.
And ultimately, the key thing that I think that we glossed over that really needs to be taken into consideration is that Jeff Hardy, in this instance, said that he was okay with the storyline.
Yeah, he gave consent.
Yet the outrage mob are the ones that are protesting and the ones that are upset about this whole thing. At the end of the day, if Jeff Hardy didn't feel comfortable participating in this storyline, then he should feel comfortable to be able to say, no, I don't feel comfortable with this. We should not proceed with this.
And then let me out of my contract so I can go over and join my brother Matt, and then we can do this all fucking night.
Right.
And come on.
They can both be elite. So hold on, they're protesting this? I mean, like, are they really protesting this, or I mean, like union workers protest? Like, shame on you, WWE, for
no. Listen, everyone's got Twitter fingers, and everyone is just saying, hey, they're displeased with
Twitter is a cancer.
But and going back to Matt Michaels' example,
I'm pointing your finger. God damn
with
it.
COVID. If he was to do that, that also would be something that would send Twitter into craziness,
So that's that one, but
one thing really quick from the chat, and by the way, shout out to all of you guys hanging out with us on Facebook. I am reading your comments, and I'm pretty sure that all of us are seeing them come through. But one that I really want to draw attention to because it's extremely timely. Shant has this to say. He says, supposedly this Jeff versus Sheamus feud is to get Sheamus that IC title he never got in his career. Sheamus has stated publicly that he wants to have the IC title. So, I mean, if this is a vehicle to do that, cool. I'm on board with it. Get Sheamus the IC championship. That way he can be a true Grand Slam winner. I'm on board.
Okay. And King Lucky, that means he's got his belt, right? Because you want to make sure, if it's going to lead up to him getting a belt, then you're all for it.
No, my payoff is for Jeff, not for Sheamus.
Why not? Sheamus is pretty
He
impressive
doesn't
right
like
now.
Sheamus. We just established.
No, hey, listen, Sheamus is one of my Irish brothers. It's not that I don't like Sheamus. He doesn't have good promos.
Hold on. Time out. I just want to back that up. You said Sheamus is one of your Irish brothers.
Yeah.
Please provide some context because I am not Ancestry.com. I'm just
well, just for the people that need to be enlightened, I am half white and half black. The Irish side of me is the white side. Thank you, motherfuckers. So he's my Irish brother.
And here I was thinking the black side was the Irish part. My goodness, I stand corrected.
He's got freckles and fucking orange hair, man.
Thank you, Michaels. At least we can agree on this.
I didn't have to point it out. I knew it.
Look, when I was born, I had red hair.
Rainbow, motherfucker.
I had red hair when I was born. I'm not Irish. So
there you go.
Saying there's other cultures that have red hair. I just want to put that out.
Yeah, but you had it when you were born. He has it now. If he was not half black, I tell you right now, you would be one sexy motherfucking Dubliner.
Wow, that just went into wow.
All right.
Next.
All right. On to our third count for tonight. And this actually, we watched it on YouTube, but this is something I'm sure that aired on UFC's website or programming or maybe ESPN or however. It's called The Making of UFC Fight Island, and it was episode 1. And it was a good 15-minute video just on the preparation on UFC 251. And guys, I know we were last week, or maybe the week before, we was talking about just the different type of precautions that should be taken during this time of COVID. And part of the story I remember reading was the NBA and the NHL were thinking of doing some sort of a bubble out in Florida. I mean, are they still thinking about doing that in Florida? I mean, Florida's a hot spot.
The players have already been flown in.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The season
Okay.
starts on the 30th for basketball.
All right. So I'm just curious. I will say, after watching this video, they did absolutely everything that they could do to make sure that COVID did not show up nowhere in this bubble. And I'm just curious, what did you guys think about what you saw? And could anybody, I mean, no matter if it's WWE, AEW, the NBA,
the United
NFL,
States.
Yeah, the United States. Is there anyone that could look at this video and go, okay, this is a good plan that we can do? What's your guys' take on this? I mean, it was very well done.
I'll leave it really short. Yeah. When you put effort into providing infrastructure based on the current climate that we are in right now with COVID, you will find success. If you're looking to take in shit that happened before COVID and make it mainstay as the number one priority, you're going to keep going around in circles in this fuck jerkle shit we doing in this country. So I hope that our government, our federal government, actually watched the fucking video, maybe 4 or 5 times, and maybe duplicate some shit, because UFC was on point from start to finish. They took COVID seriously. They knew the goal that they wanted, and they set up an infrastructure so they could get what they want and provide safety for everybody. Done deal.
Yeah, but they did it through Abu Dhabi.
Well, they couldn't do it through our fucking country.
Right, but we were just arguing a point that if they got sold to the Saudis, you specifically said,
I'm talking about WWE. I'm talking about WWE. UFC and WWE are 2 different things.
No, they're not in the sense of if you're in bed with the Saudis or if you're in bed with Abu Dhabi and the Emirates there, you're taking oil money, man. Period. That
So
whole bubble
what?
was
So what?
built.
Somebody's grandmother had fucking blood diamonds. What's the big fucking deal? My point that I'm saying is the reason why I said what I said with WWE is because at the end of the day, if you look at how UFC is run based on their talent and where they come from, because they come from all around the world, they already have a way different setup than WWE. WWE has been trying to get on the same page as UFC has done for freaking years.
They built a whole fucking thing, man. That structure was built specifically for this.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Think that even the fucking NBA didn't create a fucking, dome fucking thing that was all pristine and whatever. They're fucking using hotels and shit. The fact of the matter is if that money wasn't behind them from Abu Dhabi, they wouldn't have been having this.
But yeah, that's not what I was talking about earlier. We were talking about a whole company getting sold to Saudi Arabia. We're talking about money being backed by Abu Dhabi that is still owned by UFC.
Yeah,
That's just a totally different thing. That's just like me saying, hey, Abu Dhabi, I would like to do this project. I want to make some money. Can y'all front me the money? Okay. Yeah, we in bed, but we in bed. It could be an entanglement. It could be an entanglement, but it ain't a relationship.
But
that's funny.
They're in a relationship with the Saudis.
Who's in a? You talking about WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in an entanglement with 7 years. But you're talking about buying them. You're talking about being sold.
But I'm saying that oil money is oil money, regardless if they're being sold or they're being backed or they're being fucking held up at a fucking airport in Saudi Arabia. The fact of the matter is these motherfuckers, when you're dealing with outside, Emirates and fucking Arab money, you gotta watch out because you might be paying a price.
Okay, so let me.
But this is temporary. But is this not temporary?
Let me get you
everybody
back.
Right now is UFC temporary. I think it's temporary. I think for right now, I think it's a good thing. But I don't think that looking down the road, once COVID is done 5 years from now, that UFC is still going to be in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, so even if we don't know that, what I want to get back to though is based on what we saw just from leading up to this past weekend show, what can be learned now from other sporting events, if there is anything that can be done? I mean, Florida's now created this bubble, which I don't know how they can do that. I mean, they were so protected to the point when we saw the fighters that were in Vegas, that entire hotel seemed like it was bubbled just for them. When they got into the bus, that was just for them. When they got to the airport, I saw caution tape that was wrapped around, like nobody could even be around that section as they were waiting. The plane was just, everything. It was just no way. And it was done well. But is there anything that could be learned from these other organizations that they can take from that?
Yes, don't fuck with Florida.
Take money from the Arabs.
Take money from the Arabs. Okay.
Well, hold on. You make a good point, Matt. Okay, I get that. Okay, but the amount of wealth from the 1%ers that's here in fucking America. If they get their heads out their asses, they could provide that almost amount of money. Maybe not the same as a fucking Arab. Okay, let's be fucking real. Okay, but the amount of wealth that's in America right now, they could put it and invest, but they don't want to because they don't give a fuck.
That's my point. That was my point. I'm so glad you finally got it. That why are you going to Abu Dhabi to do this? Because those fuckers said, hey, you want your own Corona facility and it's protected and we get publicity and we look like great people?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, Sin City, King Lucky, you guys haven't jumped in. What's your take? What did you think of this?
Well, I think the biggest thing that they did, and when you look at this, there's a couple different varying factors that UFC has versus other sports. UFC probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 20 fighters, let's say, on that particular card, right? And this is not the only card they're doing there. They're doing about 4 different fight cards over the next month. So when you look at this, the most important thing is the testing and how aware they were of. They flew everyone into Las Vegas that was on domestic soil.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there, they tested everybody. And as you said, they had the hotel where everybody was quarantined. So they tested everybody. Then those people that were, perfectly fine, and there were a few that were held back that were trainers, then they were flown to Abu Dhabi and Fight Island. Upon landing there, they were then tested again to make sure that everything was good, and then quarantined from their trainers and everybody else for 48 hours. So there was a lot of spacing done and, trying to make sure that everybody was perfectly fine. But I think testing has got to be the biggest thing. With some of the leagues like NBA and NHL, you have more players. So it's going to be important for the players and, everybody around them to police themselves and police others. Because, if you have people going out of the bubble or things like that, you've got UFC fighters that are not multimillionaires like these basketball players and MLB players and NHL players. So it's really going to be imperative that they all police each other.
Okay. What's your take, Sin City?
So the thing that I think that everybody is forgetting about is if we rewind and we take a look at where Dana White was at the start of the rise of the coronavirus and the pandemic. A lot of us actually on this very show talked a lot about how Dana White was very, very capitalistic and that he would do absolutely everything within his power to ensure that he was providing content and that the UFC was doing its best to thrive as a business. Now, a lot of us at the time when we discussed that, a lot of us portrayed that in a negative light. The thing that really got through to me with watching this video was just the mere fact that Dana White put his money where his mouth was. And he and everyone else that was involved with, getting the facility built, getting the security checkpoints established, ensuring the testing happened on a daily basis, quarantining the fighters for 48 hours from the time that they got tested until they heard the results back. All of these things were done, and he among everyone else with the higher ups in the UFC seemed to have everyone's best interest in mind. So I definitely have to give props to Dana White and everybody involved with the UFC. I think that this is something that Vince McMahon could definitely learn from. This is something that Tony Khan could definitely learn from as well. I feel that out of all of your major combat sporting organizations, that the UFC is doing this right. And they genuinely have the safety of their fighters in mind first. And that is where we need to be, is we need to ensure that the safety of the fighters come first, the safety of the players and whatever other sporting organizations come first, because without them, there is no content. And without the content, then your business will not stay in business.
Here's a problem, Steve. Here's a big problem with that. And it's a simple fact. You're comparing sports organizations, right? So basketball, football eventually, UFC where they're actual fighters and stuff. Big difference that every single week you're producing content for wrestling. So to put a bubble in place, you would have to do kind of what we were talking about with rotating SmackDown and Raw.
Exactly.
But you'd have to, if you're looking at what it took to put on just this for UFC, could you imagine having to do that type of bubble on a weekly basis?
That's why you record the shows en masse. Let's say you record a month's worth of programming, and at that point, then you allow the people to leave the bubble after that fact.
And I like that point. That's a very valid point. My counter argument on it is So once those people leave the bubble, all right, and those are people that you have written storylines and established storylines for, and now you're not going to see them for another 4 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when 4 of those people catch coronavirus and can't go back to the bubble? And
Sure.
then how long is going to be the process to actually make sure that they're clear and they're not going to relapse and bring something else in or infect some, other people?
So I think one thing that we could really do, and when I say we, obviously, all of your major professional wrestling organizations. So when it comes to WWE, when it comes to AEW, and UFC is exempt from this because essentially we're just strictly talking about professional wrestling at this point. One thing that I would be completely in favor of is if we did the rotating rosters. As I had mentioned, you would be able to record that information in mass, and you would be able to produce a month's worth of shows at a time with these people. Now, one thing that you could do is you would be able to then allow them to, let's say that you recorded it over a 2-week period, okay, or even over a week's period, okay. If you recorded everything over a week and you set the expectation that, hey, we're going to go hard for this week, and then you're basically going to have a week off. 2 weeks of that should be spent in self-quarantine at that point. The latter 2 weeks of their break needs to be spent in self-quarantine so that when they come back, they are completely free and clear, because evidently there's the 14-day window that needs to be observed. So what needs to be done is build up that week's worth of programming, that week's worth of recording, to generate the month's worth of programming, and then set the expectation that for the next 2 weeks, you guys are completely free and clear to do as you please. Yep. And then after that, then the competitors would take a 2-week self-quarantine type of a status to where they genuinely quarantine themselves. And at that point, then the testing begins again for them. Yep. And so that way, in 2 weeks after that, when they report to the Performance Center, when they report to Daly's Place, when they report to whatever venue that they're going to report to, then you are able to test them. You are able to get everything in line with them, and everything should be free and clear. Ultimately, what this requires is more preparation. And unfortunately, that is something that we haven't been able to see from certain companies over the past years. It's not a thing that's happened lately. It's something that's been standing for a long time. That piss poor preparation.
Because they only think of the short game. They don't think of the long
game.
And that's why I think all of us can agree. We applaud Dana White for thinking of the long game. And anybody else, see, if the NBA decides to pull their head out their ass and start doing the same, it's only going to benefit you in the long run. Agreed. Because what's going to happen, and I guarantee you, between the NBA, NHL, or MLB, one of those 3 sports is going to fuck up. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee it, because they did not put the preparation with making the player safety key point.
I think in the MLB, there's already several amounts of COVID that has already started to affect many of the players I've read.
It's been that way in NBA too, but they've taken care of the,
No, they haven't. Don't give them the fucking pass, Lucky. They haven't taken care of that shit. They're done what the rest of these fucking companies do. They've been so consumed about money that they have a legitimate psyche fear that they're going to lose over funds. What they don't realize is your ass is shuffling around to make good on some dividends. You could have a turnaround in a couple of months. You're going to fuck yourself by the time you look at the end of the fiscal year.
Exactly.
Because you didn't fucking think ahead like a business person. You're thinking like a fucking punk.
Hey, Simon.
Yes.
You just got to call a beaver a beaver.
Thank you. A beaver, a beaver.
What really was one of the, for me, the highlight moments of this video, because you can give them, all the credit and stuff. Everything was well done, from their preparation and their testing and all that to the actual video taking and editing and everything. It was well done. It was good. But the best moment there was the one fighter who it was Thomas, I think was his last name, the black guy who tested positive.
He's a trainer.
Right.
Yeah. So my favorite moment is, he just looks dead in the camera and he's like, so, I tested positive and, it bums me out. I'm not going to have to go, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to stay positive. Which I just started fucking dying laughing.
Yeah, because
the wordplay. Yeah,
the wordplay.
Because all of a sudden he says, I'm going to stay positive. I'm like, no, you don't want to do that, dude. What are you saying?
I mean, that's dedication, I guess.
Yeah.
Dedication.
And by the way, it was more of like Fight Peninsula. Not
Yeah,
really
if you-
dying.
All right.
Yeah,
Like-
if you look at the geography, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Baywatch episode where Hogan and Vader are in a cage or something.
Oh, if
Do
I
you
don't have
got-
to see fucking Vader do the Baywatch slow motion run to save someone's life, I'm good.
It's a great episode.
So they did. So we agree that the job was done well. Do you guys think there was any overkill in what you saw? Was something, did they do too much of something?
No.
You can never
in that
do too
perspective.
much when safety's involved.
Well,
No one ever died of safety.
Well, and I'm going to reverse that. Did you see something that maybe could have been done even more?
I
Yeah,
didn't
well-
see it, but I hope other people that are deal with like OSHA or deal with other safety things that could improve. I hope that they have an open discussion for anybody to come forward and say, hey, this could have been done differently. Take that feedback and better build upon what they built so far in the mind of safety.
Okay. Was you going to say something, King Lucky? Or
Yeah, no, I think they did it perfectly. And if you look at the reported amount of cases that have come out, they've been very transparent. And there's only been like 4 cases in this whole 2.5, 3 month period since they've been running.
Well, what's really interesting though is, has anyone here seen a picture of Dana White in a mask?
No.
oh yeah, huh? No, I don't have. I
Yeah,
have it.
I found it kind of weird because when I was watching it and I saw, he every shot of him, he didn't have a mask on, and then I thought about him like, he's never had a mask, and so as much praise as you can give him, you also can say
He's not leading.
still won't portray the image of wearing a mask.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that, fellas, if there's not anything else, we'll sum it up. And again, it said it was episode 1. So should we guess then will there be an episode 2 of the same?
More to come.
They have
Okay.
two shows coming up. So
Perfect.
And
I would love to see that.
it's smart for him to keep doing that anyways, because it keeps with that mind frame of transparency.
If nothing else, it's great PR as well.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Let's call it what it is. I mean, let's call a beaver a beaver. I mean, it's good PR.
Teeth and all.
Okay.
No
Okay.
teeth.
Everyone. Well, look, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, watching us, or listening to us on our 3 count. And
Real quick,
Yes.
can I just
Yes,
read
please.
something from the chat?
Please.
So actually, Scott says, keep in mind also the damage control WWE has had to do this year with the number of corporate firings. At the end of the day, WWE is trying to please their shareholders more than they are trying to please fans since they've publicly traded. UFC and AEW don't, since they're private. They
That's
can
a good
take
point.
more risky moves and not give a fuck. WWE can't exactly do that.
That's a very good point. Yep. That is a
Great
very
point.
good point.
yeah.
It is true. The more people you have to please that have put money into creating what you have, yes, a lot of people to answer for. So it's a very good fact.
Well, and you got to think of it too in this aspect.
Mhm.
Vince wants to keep those stockholders happy because Vince still has a majority share of the company.
Shareholder.
yeah, like
If
70%.
if those stocks go up, well, then what does he do? He sells it to Disney or the Saudis.
Yeah.
Because now you have a very valuable company.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Out
Definitely.
the stock portfolio, that's the only reason you go public is to eventually sell your company.
I will say this. Speaking of the Disney thing, and it was funny because it was a meme. They said, "Disney, are you ready to buy it?" or something like that. Oh no, WWE gets sold to Disney, and they showed a picture of, I think it was Triple H, who fell on top of Trish Stratus, I think it was, and they were in the 69 position. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Hello.
It's funny because I think about it. If Disney ever did buy WWE, I know we're not in the Attitude Era anymore. What does that look like? Thoughts for next time we talk about it? I just want to put
no, I'll tell you right now what it looks like. I'm damn straight going on the Katie Vick ride.
Nice.
All right.
All right, guys, look, you can always join the conversation. Hashtag Vegas BadBoyz with a Z of podcasting. And you can also reach out all of our social media, which when we're doing our Zoom now, we're actually looking at live comments. So you can just join the conversation then. And, if you miss that, you can always just hit up our regular social media platforms and we'll definitely hit you back. We thank you for listening to our 3 count, and we'll be back with another 3 count next week. Remember, you can also send in your topics of what you like for us to talk about and discuss. Just make sure you send us the link to the article and what's your take on it, and then we'll see how we can go ahead and fit it in. All right, so with that, that's 3 count. We'll see you next time.
But if you're watching, you're about to see some wrestling talk.
There you go. We're also in picture as well with some barbecue sauce.
Ooh.
JR
just slathered all on you, just bathe in that shit.
Picture, man. You didn't know it existed. I'm glad you said something, Michaels, because I really always wanted to say we got picture in picture for those of y'all that don't know that we can watch the commercials. Oh man.
Right. Well, in the meantime, while we're waiting here, and we're still broadcasting live, anyone need to put anything out there? Any plugs?
Actually, I do just want to give some name drops and some shout outs in the chat. So shout outs to Jevin, Tristan, Ringsiders. We also had let's see here. We had a bunch of people that joined in on the chat. We had Scott Shant, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
Love those guys.
Oh yeah, they do a great show without a doubt. So go check them out. And let's see here.
Javon.
Yeah, we had some really good commentary tonight. So shout outs to all you guys participating in the chat. Always feel free to join the conversation. That's the key thing. So
Shan wants to know if we're lowering the Hell in the Cell cage right now before we go into wrestling talk.
Well, we got to have the cool music drop first.
Yeah, the dum 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 dum.
We're setting up the blue cage.
Ooh,
the blue cage.
Building that bitch.
Blue
I like
Pill,
it.
Sponsored by
Blue Pill. For all of you guys that just can't stay long in the game, take that Blue Pill and you'll be ready and stiff for the next round.
All righty. Let's do it.
We said butthole. Dude, that made my day on Friday Night Smack. That was my go-to word in like elementary school, butthole. I called everybody butthole. I didn't even call the nun a butthole.
Oh, such good shit.
Yes, call him butthole again. Fucking Vince, man. Oh, man.
All right. Let's do it. And welcome to our wrestling talk. Here we have a lot of wrestling, a little bit of MMA to talk about. And we're going to start with our favorite, WWE Raw. A lot was happening. Let me just first start off saying that Sin City, when you look at me like that, you make me sound like I'm
What fucking show are you watching?
let me be honest with you. I actually this time I enjoyed Raw. I haven't been enjoying Raw, but I enjoyed it, and I even have a list of they can't see it, but a list of just notes on top of notes that I wrote down. But I won't even go through it all. I know, because I'm sure King may get the majority of it in there if he enjoyed it himself. Let's talk.
It's a WWE product. Of course, he enjoyed it.
All right. Okay. Well, let me throw this out there, and then we'll go from there. The show started, of course, with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, and hey, we got back Heath Slater.
Oh, baby.
Little Jack too. He seemed a little bit bigger in the shoulders.
Yeah.
He clearly got on the Jinder Mahal wellness method.
There he did. That he did.
That's true. I was always been a fan of Heath. When he came out with I Got Kids shirt, I jumped on it. 3-man band. That's kind of what reminds me of Cameron Grimes. That when he, Cameron Grimes, it kind of reminds me of.
Wow, that was pretty damn good.
It just kind of reminds me, when Slater would come out and, start, about to get into his rock performance. So I was a little disappointed hearing he wasn't, was let go apart, but it was great to see him again. And I don't know. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good segment, though. Him and Drew definitely have a really good connection with that. Let me start with you, King Lucky. What was your take on seeing Slater back in that entire segment and what we might see from going forward?
I thought it was great. I actually like him too. And, when I watch interviews that he's done outside of the WWE in this time since he's been gone, he just talked about like refocusing and doing things differently and stuff like that. And I think he has a hunger from now being on the outside looking in. So I hope, that they find a way to do right by somebody that's been with them for a long time. That is incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to see him there.
All right. Any other takeaways from Raw that you guys maybe want to mention? I'm not going to go down my list, but I know Sin City doesn't have nothing on his list. So what you
Come on now.
He watched the show.
He watches it.
Go ahead. It was
Yes.
rumored that WWE, she was getting ready to leave, and then WWE offered her a contract to stay. And so if it is true, I'm happy that she got through Botchamania with Nia Jax.
I'm glad that she's still among the realm of the living after her feud with Nia Jax.
Right.
Her brush with death.
Yeah.
That wasn't a feud. That was a mugging.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But also elsewhere, I mean.
Wait, and by the way, wasn't that pretty creative how she can play her theme with a flute?
Dude,
she is on point. She is on point.
I might go back and watch that again because I was entertained.
Yeah.
And it's like she improved too.
Yeah. I also thought Garza, Orton, and Andrade made for a nice group. If they continue to roll past this week, could be a one-off. But I thought it made for a pretty interesting storyline, especially if they're not going with Garza versus Andrade, which is the inevitable at some point.
Yeah. I really like the main event. I was definitely a fan of seeing Asuka, who always delivers. Asuka's great. And she was going against the final boss of the Karens, Bayley. And I think that Bayley, since her heel turn, we've talked about it numerous times, is just on another level. So she's just risen up so much, and it's about time that people are finally starting to take notice, which is great.
Would you say now equal parts in this 4 horsewomen? Because for so long, you had the other girls that were leaps and bounds, and even Becky came along after Sasha and Charlotte. So now Bayley has taken her place, her rightful place now among that group and standing on her own.
I agree. And the thing that I think that really worked against her was her previous gimmick. No one took her seriously as a result of that gimmick. And it legitimately took the heel turn and Bayley growing up and settling into this new storyline and this new gimmick that she's got. And she's really made it her own. And to see where she was, a couple of years ago to now is remarkable. So we always talk about WWE not building characters. This is an instance where this character has been built and is a testament to when WWE wants to get somebody over, they can do it. And I think that is just another point of frustration for me, that I see how well this turn worked for Bayley. And now I'm wondering why they can't do this on a larger scale with more of their talent. I'm not saying turn everybody or anything of that nature. Just build the talent that you have.
Well, I'm happy you said that, Steve, because there's one thing that I've thought about for a long time, because I love women's wrestling. But the one thing that I've always thought is that has kind of hit or miss sometimes, all depending on what promotion you watch, is the nature of how females can be. When pushed, they can be vicious. And I like that's what you're seeing with Bayley in her heel turn. And you've seen it when they successfully have a heel turn. And I agree with you. Not every person should be turned heel because that's going to offset everything, right? But I'm saying, like, when you do it right, this is what it looks like. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do on SmackDown. Who's another person they're going to push for a heel other than Sasha and Bayley?
Especially
once. Let's not talk SmackDown yet, because
I didn't. I was just going to say, let's talk about that later.
I got your answer. I got your answer on that.
Okay, cool. I like it.
So stay tuned.
Well, okay. How about the unveil the new United States Championship? Looked pretty, right? It was
really nice,
sexy,
really nice. It looked a little small though, but it looked nice.
I will tell you, I'm a big fan of the of MVP now. I've been for a while. He's a part of the Hurt Business, but he did tell Cedric that he's a part of the catering business, and I thought that was hilarious. So yes, absolutely. What do you guys take, just to talk a little bit? I mean, they do have a pay-per-view coming up this weekend. An eye for an eye match was was mentioned during Raw. We cannot let that not go by. What do you think about this? I mean, how is an eye for an eye supposed to be pulled off? And I did read, now it's supposed to be cinematic, but I mean, I'm like, oh Lord. I mean,
I'm telling you right now, unless they bring in Eli Roth to do some background horror cinematics, it better be fucking Seth Rollins, because between the two, he would look the coolest with a fucking eye patch.
Yeah.
I would love to see Rollins.
He would be the second coming of Snake Plissken.
Oh my gosh, dude, he would be like fucking Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
I would be amazed if he could pull that shit off.
But aren't we missing the point of this whole thing?
An eye for an
that
eye.
The WWE is putting an eye patch on Seth Rollins just to poke the bear with the angle that AEW did with Moxley and eye patch.
Yep.
I know that's the truth.
I was gonna mention that I like the eye for an eye match the first time that it was done, when it was done with Moxley versus Santana, because it literally was called an eye for an eye match. Just saying.
Yeah, it is true.
You're welcome, Michaels.
Okay. Well, I mean, unless that's it, that's the Raw talk. Anything else that stood out for you guys? Are you
Get
guys
Tom
looking
Savini out there? Get Tom Savini to create the prosthetic for the eyeball, because supposedly,
Savini would
supposedly it's been said that the match will legitimately end with someone having their eye popped out.
Oh,
and you can do no wrong with Savini. He's been in the industry, obviously close ties with Romero. I mean, the dude's a legend.
Well, he was also the one that created the Fiend mask.
Oh man, I was just gonna call him on that.
Well, I didn't.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that at the end of the day, I'd hope that they go in that direction, because at the end of the day, what they need to do with these segments they're going to plan is some legitimacy. Don't just pull it out your ass and say it's a horror show. I mean, I'm sure people, obviously, if you pay them a decent amount of money and give some time, they're bored. They want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're still missing the point that Savini already has a relationship with him. So most
I didn't say that he didn't. I didn't say that he didn't. I'm just saying in the sense of, Steve mentioned the name. It makes sense to go that direction. Why not?
Because he's worked with him before, and most likely he's probably already done the prosthetic eye.
Exactly.
You want to host?
Yeah.
Host?
The what? Do I want to what?
No, he's talking to me.
Oh,
Really, is that going to put Seth off of TV for a little bit?
To be a father? It's too early yet. She's only what? How many months in her pregnancy?
Yeah, but also too, I mean, you look at it. They just recently had an outbreak of COVID cases, so it might be time for him to come off of the road.
I hear that, but why would you do that when his wife is potentially going to give birth? Obviously, I don't know how many months she's in, but wouldn't you wait to take time off if you don't have COVID at all and you're not part of that scare? I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
wouldn't you want to wait?
But what Lucky's saying is that every time he takes a flight and he goes to Florida, you're risking the virus coming back and infecting your wife, who is pregnant.
Right.
Could fuck up the pregnancy.
It is true, but I mean, I'm going to point out some names right now. I mean, look at Brie Bella. I mean, her, Daniel Bryan, and their child went sightseeing and went on a little vacation. They had their mask on, so
that's not a newborn.
She's pregnant. I'm just saying she's pregnant. So I'm saying, and doesn't that kind of match up? I mean, like, it's still a coin toss. You don't know.
Yeah, but they have a control over that environment. You don't have a control.
I see your point.
Yeah,
I see your point.
That's the only difference in that scenario. That's it.
Well, that's gonna suck, because I wouldn't. Honestly, I never thought I'd say this. I don't want to see Seth off of TV. I need my Monday Night Messiah. I need him.
Is there anything you got?
On. I need my Monday Night Messiah. There you go. Okay. You got to put your hands together when you talk about the Messiah. I'm just saying.
Is there anything else you guys are looking forward to at Extreme Rules outside of the eye for an eye? Any other match you're excited for?
I don't want to jump the pony, so let's just keep going with the show.
That means he's going to talk about it during SmackDown.
Right, exactly.
Hey. Oh, I see.
Yeah, okay. That's all right. Our host is taking a break tonight.
I got you. Let's jump over now to Impact Wrestling.
That's your segment. That's your segment, dude.
Which you can also skip too, because the show sucked this week.
It did not suck. It did not suck.
Let me tell you.
Tell us how you really feel.
Let me tell you something. I thought they were putting on quality TV until they reached this week, which was like, I don't know. They mailed it in like SmackDown got mailed in this week. I did not like the show this week, and I had been entertained leading up to this. So the fact that they have a pay-per-view coming up this week, I don't know. But I'll let you continue.
But why did it suck though? I watched it too, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think it was top notch, but I didn't think it sucked. But then again, also too, I don't watch it every week. So I mean
if you watched it leading up, like I've watched it the last maybe 4 or 5 months, and I thought they had some entertaining stuff. But leading up to like this one, I thought it was a throwaway show.
Well, I was cool with seeing Susie.
Oh yeah, well,
I was very pleased with seeing Susie, Rosemary.
Whoa! You gotta slow down. DJ, tell us about your Susie.
Cue up that Instagram filter with the love hearts and all that kind of crazy shit.
Yeah, I am a fan of Susie for sure. I will say though, I will agree a little bit with King Lucky with this week's show. I would say the second half of the show was a little bit better than the first, but overall, it wasn't like the other past shows. I did think the Jordan Grace versus Kimberly match was actually done very well. Yeah. They are just they're just great at what they do, and I'm actually looking forward to the match at Slammiversary with Jordan Grace and Deanna Purrazzo. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I think it's going to be a really good match. But one thing I thought that was pretty funny, and I don't know if it's probably better to see it than to talk about it, but apparently Johnny Swinger wanted to
he wanted to be
creative, and he was looking how he could dress up as someone else to try to get into a match, and he looked at the Suicide's costume and put it on. Everyone's familiar with Suicide, and when he got in there to fight Willie Mack, it was just the match was just hilarious. I mean, it was really entertaining to watch that. You got a good laugh. He actually tried to do the Spider-Man onto the ring and fell off. It was
and you can see Willie Mack just give him the eyes like.
Even Willie Mack would just have to laugh at him sometimes in the ring, because he knew he wasn't really Suicide, but it was, it was just funny just watching how they did all that together. So that was exciting. And that's another match, right? Chris Bay and Willie Mack. I will say, if I had to predict that match, I will say that Willie Mack will retain, because I do think Swinger somehow is going to mess it up for Bay. So, but at
the same time, though, would also makes sense if Swinger actually interfered and Chris won the belt, and now Swinger thinks that he is also champion,
right?
Because that goes right along again with his character, is he thinks that he's, we won this belt together.
Right. I can just hear him now. I can hear him now say, "We're champions, Daddy. We're champions."
And then he should get a title match at some point too. So yeah, I can see where you're going. But I'm looking forward to the card. They're teasing some big surprises maybe, and we kind of talked about it with the Gallows and Anderson possibly joining. But I am looking forward to the card. It's going to be an action-packed weekend next weekend with them going on Saturday.
There was also a little quick segment that Madison Rayne had an interview with Madison Rayne.
No, it wasn't. Remember, we talked about this. Kathy Lee Gifford had an interview segment with Madison Rayne.
And part of the reason is she was saying that she's going to not be at the commentary desk because she's going to be a part of the number one contenders knockouts gauntlet match. So she's entering herself back into that match as well. One of the last parts of the show I was entertained by was the Tommy Dreamer. He had to give an apology for how he came hard. I told you last week, Tommy Dreamer went hard on Moose, and he really just called him out. And nobody comes to see you like no one came to see you in the NFL. You're horrible. I mean, he just said all types of and so. Of course, Moose last week said, "Hey, all that stuff he said, is defamation. You can get sued. I'll sue you in the company." So Tommy had to come out this week and give an apology that was written from his lawyer. And of course, it was half-assed, but that was very entertaining as well. But that was the show. And
hold on, you forgot the best part.
Go ahead, sir.
Tommy Dreamer actually has a lot of pull with TNA executives.
That's
that, basically told him that, what, man, he is going to face Moose for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. I mean, he had TNA shareholders, I think he said, TNA corporate office.
Right.
I thought that was a big move, being able to pull that out the ether. I think it was amazing.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. Yeah, the whole idea of a part of also was Tommy was saying that he reached out to, all the committees of the TNA management who was going to give him a title match. And then, of course, Moose finally says, "Wait, there's no TNA management. There is no TNA board or nothing."
With a straight face.
Right. And, of course, course, Tommy's like, yeah, that's the point. So yeah, good stuff though. Again, I'm looking for that because they will have their championship match for that. A pretty good card, like King Lucky was saying, and that happens also this week. And don't forget, you have Ace Austin versus Trey versus Eddie Edwards, and a mystery opponent for the Impact World Championship match. So, man, it's going to be very, very, very interesting. Yeah,
you can hold those up all you want. It's going to be Ace Austin that goes over. Gambit is going to win.
And it's not going to be Rusev, Lucky.
No, it's not going to be him.
He's putting up the 3 because he wants us to know the 1%.
Right. CC3. Yeah. But it's actually a really, really good card.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got quite a few things happening this weekend. You got UFC. You got Impact Wrestling on Saturday. Both of those are on Saturday, and then Extreme Rules, the horror show, on Sunday. So.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over into WWE's NXT Great American Bash Night 2. And we know what the biggest highlight of that entire night. King Lucky, I'm going to let you run down what your thoughts of Night 2 was.
Yeah, they had an excellent way to start the show with Mia Yim, Candice LeRae. I thought that match was just exceptional.
Brutal. Fucking brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. And the way they sold the match, after the match completed and they still had the ladies in the ring, I mean, that was just, as Sin City Steve always says, continuity, baby.
Yeah.
It was really good. They left it all out there, right? And at some point, I mean, I understood why Candice went over. It furthers what they're doing right now, but geez, I want Mia Yim to get her shine at some point because I think she's so good.
Yeah.
I think she will.
Huh?
I think she will. She has a friend. Her friend came through, but I'll let y'all talk about who re-debuted.
Yeah. I thought Swerve and Gargano tore that puppy up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice. A hell of a match. And then obviously the biggest part of the night was Keith Lee, getting his hands on that belt, and that match. Styles make fights, the larger man versus the smaller man. Him versus Adam Cole was it was awesome. And then, at the end of that, you saw Karrion Kross and Scarlett looking down as to what's to come. So I thought the show overall was very good.
But the question is, where did Scarlett go? That was a great, again, when you put in those little nuances, then it gives you a little something to look forward to. Progression for the next week. So,
and just one last note on Lee. I mean, he's doing incredible, right? And he had the push with the Rumble and things like that. I'd like to see, I'm gonna throw it out there. I'd like to see him win the Royal Rumble. Either him or Riddle. Time for an NXT guy to.
Who was the first guy you mentioned?
Matt Riddle or Keith Lee.
Or Keith Lee, got you. Okay.
Yeah. You want to take the guy who just won the NXT title and have him win the Royal Rumble so he goes out of that.
Yeah, you still got 6 months left. So there's plenty of time left for him to drop that title.
Well, I think the bigger question.
Why would you have the guy though?
He wouldn't necessarily have to drop it.
But the bigger question is which belt, if not both belts, is he probably going to drop if he faces Karrion Kross, and when he faces Karrion Kross, and how does that play out?
You drop the North American title.
Yeah. Think so? Okay.
Yeah, completely.
And I have him defend that belt as well as the heavyweight championship right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Oh, I will tell you that I was very pleased to see the re-debut of Mercedes Martinez.
Yes.
That entrance music and the entrance is dope as fuck. I like that. I've always liked her in-ring ability. I like that kind of hard smash mouth type of prowess that she has. I think it's something that's needed at the table. Because if you look at a lot of the women just in WWE landscape, we need more strikers. Now, obviously, she's good at submissions, obviously, and wrestling, but she has been known for like vicious strikes, and I'm happy to see her. And I think she's going to do some big things. I personally think so. And obviously, her and a couple of other wrestlers on NXT go way back. And I'm not sure. I remember we talked about it, and maybe I read it a couple of months back, but they're also going to have her in a capacity behind the scenes training some of the new people. I don't know how true that is because I don't work for WWE, but I know they were talking about bringing her in to kind of help out with that as well. Because, I mean, she's very seasoned. Very seasoned.
Yeah, but they don't utilize her right. Her and Santana Garrett, I mean, she is so underused. And what did they bring her back? Or?
Santana Garrett for sure. But we'll see.
That's funny. I will say one of the things I was entertained because I'm always looking to get a really good laugh when I can, and never fails. Robert Stone gets ran over by a tank.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah. I'm dying.
Equals ratings, bro.
And it was slow too.
And let me tell you this: what I thought, when you were to say picture in picture, there was nothing more entertaining. I always fast forward those. It's still commercials to me. But I was so entertained by that segment. I actually watched the picture in picture because they brought in everyone else to try to raise the tank off of his leg.
Mm-hmm.
They have to pick it up. Okay. So of course he's going through this whole thing because he's got ran over by this tank. And then of course who comes driving up was the Undisputed Era. So it was pretty dope watching him get out of the car. And I'm just really entertained by because I never watched the picture in picture, but I like how they really did that. Great parts of NXT. It was a really good night.
I forgot
to.
I was going to say one thing.
Sure.
One person that I think we're going to see, I don't know about big things, but we're going to see a lot more of him. And I was more impressed with him was Bronson Reed.
Yes.
With regards to Tony Nese. And obviously Tony Nese is a stud. Just at the end of the day, I'm always impressed with him. But I think we're going to see a lot with Bronson Reed. I see him as that big guy, or what do they call him, Mr. Thickness, or whatever the hell they call him, one of the thick boys, thick daddies. Thick boy. Yeah, he said thick boy. I see him really making some moves. It maybe might not be now, but I guarantee once you see a couple of key players in NXT move up to the next roster, which is probably for sure going to happen, you're going to see him filling in those slots or those positions. Was very impressed with that match. The match was very entertaining. I know Lucky didn't watch half of it because he doesn't like Tony Nese because he's part of the 205 breed, but it was a very good match.
Actually, maybe what if they paired Tony Nese up with with Rob Stone? Maybe he becomes his client because he's been on a kind of a skid. So something that a little meat there that you could probably use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to say, I mean, I was happy with the 6-man match with Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah.
They continue to build those guys up, and it just goes, to show that Santos Escobar can be pushed as a very solid talent. The guy he exudes star power every second that he's on TV. So he has a huge future ahead of him, and I can't wait to see it. He obviously is bilingual, so that's going to play in. And I really do see them working to incorporate those kinds of things. And I would not be surprised if at some point he wins some serious gold in NXT and possibly even on the main roster if it goes that far.
And I'll add that to you. When that does happen, Steve, I think all of us are going to be saying Alberto Del who?
Oh, yeah. Oh, completely.
Yeah, I'm throwing shots. Come holler at me from jail.
Alberto. We're going to be going
Andrade who?
Andrade.
No. Because let's be honest, okay? Andrade was created, or not created, but they brought in Andrade because they're trying to fill in this cookie cutter of Alberto Del Rio. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
okay?
He filled in the cookie cutter.
No, he didn't fill. He filled in something else, but it wasn't.
Yeah, he filled something else up too.
He didn't, and it came back to the bilingual. He's not fully bilingual.
He's not.
Again,
that's his English is not where it needs to be.
That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, with Phantasma, I mean, like, he's bilingual. He has that. He has that stature, like we saw in Alberto Del Rio.
Yes.
And I think if anybody can fill that, he can, and probably surpass it.
But the point that I'm making is Andrade was supposed to be that. Andrade isn't even Garza. Garza's fucking
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you have these talented guys, and you look at Andrade and you go, you know what, he had a good run as NXT champ. He had a decent character, but I mean, he's around. What are you going to do with him? And do you start something with him and Charlotte together?
Well,
that would be, honestly, that would be one way of getting him over.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, he's not.
And she could be a mouthpiece for him.
Sure.
I could actually see something along that line now that you're mentioning that, finally go the route of, breaking up Garza and Andrade and have Andrade, essentially by proxy turn face. And
you do it like this, Steve, since you already got Orton in the angle, you have Orton turn on Flair, which then Andrade, of course, being that it's Flair,
father-in-law.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. That could work.
And I can just see it now. Rick comes out. Ooh, Orton, see, what you didn't realize is that blood is thicker than water. He's going to say some stupid shit like that to where we're all uncomfortable, like he may actually have a stroke. No offense, Ric Flair, but I worry about you in my heart sometimes. I don't ever want to hear you pass away. It would be a sad day.
I think you said that uncomfortable. Yeah, we all got there. That was really uncomfortable. Was that Red Fox?
I don't even know who it was. I'm just saying. At the end of the day,
you're the one who said Ric Flair having a stroke, and that's pretty much what I just saw.
True enough. But NXT, and then we can move on. You know who I really wanted to really see in action, and now I'm starting to. I'm now excited. I think he might be my dude. Like, he might be the one for me. And that is Damian Priest. The only reason why I say this is because when he was with another promotion and he was, I'll just say punishment, I liked him a lot. And so now
he was in ROH. What do you?
Yeah. Come on, man. Come on, man. Can I not be cryptic sometimes? What's wrong with that? You're cryptic 3/4 of the time.
Hey, everybody, if you didn't know it, he was with ROH before he joined NXT.
Anyways, thank you so kindly for illuminating us, great curator of the golden era. But what I was saying is I actually was like, shit, I really wanted to see Damian Priest, like, really bad. And I just got the little promo with him and Cameron Grimes, but I liked the whole promo he had. He had sunglasses on, all cool as shit.
Wait, who did he have that promo with?
He didn't have promo, but he was doing something where he's talking about Cameron Grimes. He's talking about you.
Cameron Grimes!
Oh, there you go.
Lucky's favorite.
Woo! To the moon!
If they were smart, that's a tag team.
Oh my gosh, that would be.
Oh shit,
that'd be an interesting. Mm-hmm. That'd be like Team Hell No, almost.
Like, they kind of work through whatever they're going through. They have a series of matches. Yeah. And then they decide that it's better for them to be together than separate.
Sure. NXT.
Wow, just saying.
we're serving you up. It's a pity that you have to pay your writers so much. Because all they do is listen to us and then collect the paycheck.
I mean, sometimes you just have to call a beaver a beaver.
That's right. If I ever hear that anywhere else other than here,
you're gonna hear it on.
It's gonna be Cameron Grimes' new fucking catchphase.
I'm telling you right now, I want a motherfucking parade. I want a fucking parade with streamers and all that shit. Let that shit be known.
Most importantly, beavers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please, right now, if you have any money for people who have money, please donate to the Beaver Conservation Foundation. They are trying to get as much money or damn money as they can to help reconstruct these beavers' homes. So please, if you have money, graciously give.
That's
Yeah.
it. It's gonna be
This
Simon Street Beaver Fund.
That just sounds all types of bad direction.
Yeah.
The Beaver Foundation.
Because without you guys and the Beaver Foundation, there would be no wood to put inside those beavers.
My gosh.
Oh, you know,
No
you know
teeth.
what? You
No
know, Matt
teeth.
Michaels, I was just about to say maybe we should at the writers so that they could maybe use some of the suggestions you gave, but never mind. Let's
Well,
not
it
add
doesn't
them
have
at all.
enough it doesn't have enough characters. They've got like 100 writers.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. NXT. That just shows you how great NXT is. We talked a lot about it, but now let's get to our second favorite, right? Third favorite, fourth favorite. I don't know. AEW Fighter
If it's
Fest
DJ
night.
Impact, it's his least favorite.
Stop it! Stop it!
Mhm.
Spider Fest night 2. Okay,
Spider Fest or Fighter Fest?
Spider
Now-
Fest.
Sin City.
That's
Let me be-
decent.
Let me be honest with you. I enjoyed night 2.
Whoa.
Night 2 was good.
Alert the
I really-
media.
Hashtag it right now in the chat.
Yeah,
No,
I really.
no, seriously. Go tell us what you enjoyed, bro.
Okay. I put down Cassidy from Private Party. I love. What's so funny about that? Okay. Anyway, I like how he uses the top rope and to jump over to the second rope and launched himself into Hangman Page. After that move was pretty awesome.
That was amazing.
So I love that. Couple of things also I put Lance Archer kills Janela. Pretty much that's what happened.
That's about right. I mean, that's what happened.
I also mentioned how, and I guess we could talk about this in a minute too. Brian Cage, right? He's presented with the FTW Championship
Right.
belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's
The fuck
he's
the
a
World
champ.
Championship belt.
World Championship. Which I'll tell you is
Go ahead.
it's a great thing for him to introduce this, because even if you don't put Cage over at the pay-per-view, he still has a title. And so what you can do is you can still have Cage look like money and let him shine without him getting the belt, unlike they did with Brody and Archer on that first pay-per-view. So I think it's a good idea that what they did with that.
Are you thinking that they're going to use that belt as, I guess they're going to. The reality, we talked about it. He should lose. He should win against Moxley.
Yes.
That's the way it should be set up.
Yeah.
But if for some reason he doesn't, he now has the FTW belt to fall on. I think that's what that is.
This is AEW hedging their bets, essentially.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm cool with
Okay.
it. I'll co-sign it. I was cool with it. Once again, Taz is good at what he does.
Oh God,
And
he's amazing.
I mean, like, seriously, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next week, because him and Moxley, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to have their championship match. Did I hit that correctly? Right? I just want to make sure. Right? Okay, I'll make
Right
sure.
for the follow.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
But
Which,
fast.
speaking of which, I can't wait for NXT's counter programming next week. Battle for the Bedridden.
It's gonna happen, bro.
they're gonna pull some kind of new exclusive.
I'm telling you,
network
they'll announce it
pay-per-view
on
out of
social
nowhere.
media.
Yeah.
Battle for the Bedridden. Wait and see.
I think the bigger question is if they'll win the ratings again this week.
It definitely was a lot closer than the week prior, for sure. Obviously the FTW Championship was something that is huge for me. I was a huge Taz mark when he was in ECW. And I remember firsthand when he came out or brought out the Fuck the World Championship belt for the first time. It was during, obviously, his feud with Shane Douglas. And so obviously that hit me right in the feels. And I thought that was, insanely smart for them to do something of that nature, because as was mentioned, at this point, it's almost like as if Cage needs to have some sort of a token or a trinket or something to legitimize him because of how hard they've pushed him. And as was mentioned just a minute ago, Archer and Brody Lee come in, challenge for the championship and get defeated. And now they're struggling in the mid card, which actually does somewhat lead me to a little bit of something that I really enjoyed in this show, which was the furthering of the Dark Order storyline with Colt Cabana. I do also, I love the fact that they have basically absorbed Colt Cabana into the Dark Order at this point. And he is, he's been coerced. That's probably the best way to describe it. And
being groomed.
What's that?
He's being groomed.
Yeah, he is being groomed completely. And the thing is, they're doing what they needed to do. Colt Cabana had a massive losing streak until he got mixed up with the Dark Order, and now he's on the winning side most of the time. And they've got quite a good winning streak going. And also they're capitalizing on the whole cult thing by releasing the new T-shirt. And this is legit. I'm not bullshitting this, but AEW has released a T-shirt for Colt Cabana that now at first glance it actually says "Boom Boom Colt Cabana" on it, but just from a first glance, the fonts that they used and the effects that they used, it actually looks like it says "Doom Doom Colt Cabana." So you've got the subliminal hints in there of what's going on. And in the center of the logo definitely looks like some sort of an Illuminati type of a symbol or a cult type of a symbol. So I mean, they're doing more and more nuanced things, and that's key. And I think it's pretty safe to say Orange Cassidy rose to the occasion against Chris Jericho. Sure, even though we didn't see a run-in by Mike Tyson, which, for whatever reason, I think that a lot of people were kind of, I don't want to say dreading this match, but they were thinking that it was going to be a completely one-sided match, and this was not a one-sided match. I feel that Cassidy definitely rose to the occasion on this one, and I think it's going to be great, man. I think that we are starting to see Orange Cassidy finally taking his place where he needs to be. He needs to be spotlighted. The guy's been a ratings draw up until his feud with Jericho every week, and he needs to be featured. So
might I also add with that, and then I'll say what my favorite part of the AEW lineup was. And I had a conversation with Impact yesterday, and I was talking about the difference between WWE's inability to let stars organically manifest versus how AEW is kind of doing. This is a perfect example, because when you look at Orange Cassidy, I like the wordplay you just used, Steve. You said shine a spotlight. Shining a spotlight is not shoving a nice full helping of Roman Reigns on a spoon down people's throat and expecting you to say he's the best. He's now at the top. And nothing away from Roman Reigns. He's good. I'm not saying he can't wrestle, but I'm saying AEW is showing a better way. You have someone that's hot, shine a light on them. You don't have to add too much to someone that's already white hot. And I think we're starting to see that.
Orange Cassidy is also not selling action figures right now.
Well, right now. And it's funny you said that, because in our conversation that me and Impact had, we talked about the reason why shit like that works with, I said, Roman Reigns, is because of a John Cena. Because at the end of the day, your merch sales are going to talk about how great your opportunity is.
John Cena.
Don't even fucking go there. Because if I say Roman Reigns and you don't immediately think of John Cena as the same formula.
No. I'm going. No, I'm Hulk Hogan.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Roman Reigns.
No. And
let's go further. Let's go further than Hulk Hogan.
And The Rock. It's the whole from Hogan on.
Yeah.
This is the system that Vince formulated.
Yep.
Why the fuck did the Ultimate Warrior have a title? Because he was over like shit. You're saying AEW, does this better. No one does it better than Vince. But what they're doing is basically allowing the talent to finally start wrestling and establishing themselves against the top talent. Because what we were seeing is a lot of blockage. Moxley comes in, then Harper comes in, then just more people coming in and everything all cloudy on top. Now you're finally getting to see some of these guys. One problem that might happen is guys like Lucky might think a guy like Orange Cassidy is not worth doing this because he can't talk.
Yeah, but that's okay because
he can't talk or he doesn't talk.
I'm a huge fan of Cassidy, by the way. So
I'm gonna say, for the whole argument of Hardy and Sheamus can't talk and do the things. The fact of the matter is here's a guy who can get over without talking at all.
Exactly. And there's some that can. You're absolutely right. There are some that can. And unfortunately, there are some that their body language is about as dead as their speech enunciation on a microphone. And that's a very problematic challenge that people are going to have to figure out.
Leave Tony Schiavone out of this.
This is very true too. No, but the one part of the night that I found exciting, and I'm glad that they said it was the first time ever meeting between FTR and the Lucha Bros. I was excited to see that in general. I'm glad that there's going to be a follow-up match next week, just those two. But that, including Butcher and the Blade and the Young Bucks, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen a four-way tag team match done well. And maybe it's just my opinion in the colored shade glasses I have, but I was entertained from start to finish. Each of them showcased their moves. I liked how even toward the end where you had FTR were kind of like gelling, like they were trying to gel just between them two, and it ended up having the Young Bucks completing their moves. I thought that was cool. And it was fun to watch. So much that I would probably watch it again tomorrow while I'm working.
I love that match, but if I'm FTR, I would have fucking beat the shit out of those guys for driving in with my truck. So right there where they were coming in, that's where you attack them and get that match started.
Hold on real quick. No. Don't even spend the energy. Don't even spend the energy. But I will spend the energy on what Shant said in the chat. He said, Ray Phoenix with that Canadian Destroyer, holy shit. And I was going to say that. That shit was some fucking like video game magic shit. That was magic. And also too, I think it was who did I think it was somebody else that did a high, was it one of the Bucks that did a high Karana? High Karana off the top, but he flung himself so much into the ropes.
A Hurricane Rana.
Well, yeah. Well, I know, but
high
Karana.
A high Corona. Of course.
Shut the fuck up. Anyways, I thought that was cool too. But that Canadian Destroyer was fucking amazing. I had to rewind that shit because I ain't never seen no shit like that. Even to the point where I was like, how did that fucking shit work?
Yeah.
That was the highlight of the night for me. I was tickled pink for that.
So let me ask you guys this really quick. Who's going to be Nyla Rose's new manager?
Vicky Guerrero.
Britt Baker.
Bingo. Britt Baker. Okay.
I just thought that'd be cool if it'd be Britt Baker.
I agree with King Lucky. I could see them using
that'd be awesome.
Vicky.
As long as it's not Brandy.
Oh, God.
Oh man.
Nightmare Collective 2.0.
Jeez.
Speaking of though, she needs to like conjure up Kong again because they need like people who are physically intimidating to go against her.
Yeah.
Nyla Rose.
Kong is filming Glow, so that's the reason.
She's filming right now.
Well, I will say this. I like that they're building up Nyla Rose to be this indestructible force. Even when she was, talking on the mic, she's talking about basically once she gets her manager, she's coming back and she will leave AEW Women's Champion again. I like that. How she's basically calling her shot right now. Again, going back to what we talked about last week, if Tessa ever want to go to a place, I think AEW would be a better fit. Just saying that's why I want her to go to. Not because of daddy there. I'm just saying, it's a way better fit. I love to see Nyla Rose and Tessa Blanchard.
SmackDown?
Do we even need to talk about SmackDown?
Nope, it was the worst.
What down?
Listen,
I will say this. Going
There's
back
only
to
one good match.
I will say this. I found out what FTR stands for because we don't really know, right? All right. What did it stand for? Is
Fuck
it
the revival.
yeah, that's the original meaning.
Oh.
The original one was
Fuck the rest.
Revival.
From being the elite. I know you don't watch it, but they've been calling them out for a long time.
so it's called Fuck the Revival?
Originally it was. But what did you find?
Oh,
What did you find,
and then
Professor Impact?
And then what is it called now?
Fuck the rest.
Fear the Revolution.
Yeah.
Fear the Revolution.
I thought it was still fuck the rest. I thought that'd have been better.
Yeah, they
Okay.
couldn't necessarily market that, but I agree.
Yeah.
And I thought I thought it was called formerly the Revival.
No.
That's what I was going to give it.
That's a good one. I really don't like Fear the Revolution. That's
Eh.
Yeah.
they could have done better.
Okay.
There's only so much you could do with, those letters.
Yeah, exactly.
I still think fuck the rest should be the way and just have F and then 2 symbols and a K and they figure it out.
Mm.
Come on, if you have freaking
Okay.
what? The what?
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 Yeah, he's basically saying like F and then, the two.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just saying they could have done that.
Oh.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have MJF flipping off little kids. I mean, they've already gone as far as they possibly could go.
Exactly.
So let's
SmackDown.
jump over to SmackDown and
And
go
that's
ahead,
all for
look
our
like
show. You guys have a good day. I'll catch y'all later.
SmackDown was the worst show of the Fox era and the worst show of the year. For
Yeah.
SmackDown.
And then the show started.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was cringe.
I just feel like they just picked up a bunch of pieces off the cutting room floor and threw them together.
Well,
karaoke and
my question is this though. Now they do pre-tape this. Now, am I correct when I'm hearing this that they're pre-taping SmackDown, like on a Wednesday or something, or something like that? Am I hearing correctly?
This one was taped, yes.
Okay. So my question is, could it possibly be the reason why we got this? And they added like a whole fucking match from how many years ago, which I felt was unnecessary. Could it have been because they fucked up something? Daryl, what are you doing with your pen? It's distracting.
I don't have any idea how close when you put your fingers, you're just like,
Like for real.
yeah, man.
So, anyways,
You're oblivious to it. That's
he totally is.
Oh shit! Don't call him out on it. He didn't like that.
But anyways, was there something that they cut out of why they're showing us? I mean, are they trying to be Impact Wrestling? Not that Impact Wrestling has a problem when they do their flashbacks. Is that what SmackDown's doing now? Flashback shows on a regular basis?
Well, I mean, I think they still could have kept the flashback, but added more content because the flashback, added into what you're telling with the rest of the story. But I just think for whatever reason, you know what? Now that I think about it, this might have been the show because I think it was a week ago they were talking about how production got halted for testing and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying. There had to be a reason.
This could have been the reason. So you know what? I'll cut them some slack, but it still was.
It was shit. It was shit. They know it was shit.
Yeah.
So wait, first of all, the heel, I hope, is going to be Lacey.
Yes.
Because, I mean, she was heel. She was great. Then she was face.
Yeah. Boom.
For whatever fucking reason. And, now is she going heel again? Because
it definitely feels like it.
Yeah. So I'd say that's your heel. But
yeah.
Come on, man. It was a great karaoke segment. It was perfect.
You know what was missing? You know what was missing?
The gobbledygooker.
No. It was missing Las Vegas' own Ricky Tenacious. If he was in there, it would have been fire. And Ricky, if you listen, or if anybody has listened to this podcast, y'all know I'm telling the truth. That man right there is a karaoke god. He is the songstress bird. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Songstress?
Yeah, songstress. When you sing, you're a songstress. You wouldn't know nothing about that because you can't carry a tune. like you can't carry a title belt, apparently.
I think I'll be okay. I think I'll be okay not being the songstress.
That's okay. You can make music in other ways.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. Although SmackDown was not that good, I don't want to discredit the last match, New Day, Cesaro, and Shinsuke. I enjoyed that match. And when I really just wish that Cesaro really could just somehow just get the respect that he really
go somewhere that he's appreciated.
Or
No. I'm going to say it right now. Go back to NXT. If Cesaro went back to NXT,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you right now, he would be the top of the pecking order, and he'd be perfect for carrying Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I Michaels, I know that you assumed that I meant AEW, but no, he needs to go somewhere that he's appreciated. Yeah. Like if that answer is to go back to NXT, then 100% go back to NXT.
Yeah,
but
where he will be used properly.
But you did preference if NXT is the place for him. So you are suggesting that he goes somewhere else.
I would say NXT. It would be welcome. It'd be a welcome thing because everybody knows how good he is.
Right.
And
he's credible. He's credible. He came back, mind you. He shifted down to NXT for a couple of weeks, technically before anybody else did. To get Sami Zayn up and going, and that built up some legitimacy there. So I mean, he's got a past track record of going to NXT. So I'm 100% on board, man.
Again, NXT, if you're watching, I mean, we're just giving this shit away for free.
This shit's for free.
We want to help your job security. That's all.
I just want to watch good programming.
That too. Is that so wrong?
That's it.
All right. So with that, I know we were saying that, let's wait till SmackDown to talk about the pay-per-view. So now let's talk about what your guys' thoughts are on the upcoming Extreme Rules.
Called the cinematic match, the swamp match.
I'm excited for that reason and for all the wrong reasons. I'm excited that a lot of these matches, because I think it's going to tie in a lot with the WWE Brawler game that's coming out, because a lot of, the way that game's set up, it's very themed, and there is a swamp theme level, a ring setup, however you want to put it. And there's also a horror ring setup. So, I think that you're going to probably see tons of fucking commercials for WWE Brawler on that show. But I'm excited to see it go way back in history. I like when, the way they've been building up to, Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. I hope they do it justice. I hope it's good like The Undertaker and AJ Styles, and not like the House of Horrors that was Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. I think was it the House of Horrors? What was it called? Yeah,
House of Horrors match.
I hope it's the Boneyard Brawl version
where someone got a refrigerator thrown on them.
Yeah,
the match was ahead of his time.
Right. It was, but they did not have as many of the direction as they do now. So I'm excited to see the history with Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. I think they've done a fantastic job of slowly unveiling that, slowly bit by bit, like I like it. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll come 360 with this storyline.
Okay.
The Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre match should make Drew look like money.
Yes.
They're going to put together if you look at it, whoever Dolph Ziggler goes up against, he's the perfect dance partner. So I think it'll even further, because a lot of people are down on Drew right now, but it'll further his stock with this match.
So when Morrison and Miz run in to interfere, is that when Heath Slater runs in to counter?
Could be, but we've seen that type of setup before in WWE history about 4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, somebody who per storyline couldn't cut it, and they come in.
You're lowballing it. 4 or 5 times. Try about 400 or 500 times.
Well, again, I didn't go as far back as the Golden Era. I went back as far as the Attitude Era. So
this card really has some good matches on it. You got Sasha, and that match is going to be really good too. Sasha Banks versus Asuka, Bayley versus Nikki Cross, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. I mean, It's a really solid card.
That match is going to be the best one on the show.
Which one?
Which one?
Daniel Bryan and AJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
MVP versus Apollo, which we all know what should happen there.
What should
happen?
What should happen?
MVP.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going to happen.
That furthers the storyline. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's be honest.
I think Cruz will end up winning by like DQ to keep the storyline going.
Because of Lashley, you think? Or something like that?
Yeah.
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen.
The Dairy Queen finish.
Let me get that peanut buster parfait.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's jump over to a promotion we haven't talked about in a while.
Not nearly
New
enough.
Japan Pro Wrestling. I know, man. What's been going on? So they've been having the New Japan Cup going on for, like I say, for a while now. And, man, they had their event. And when I read, I was like, I got to get some information on who this guy is, even.
Yeah.
Okay? I got to figure out. And I even watched the clip of just kind of how it all, the match and all the way to when he went back to his own press conference. But apparently Evil is the new leader of the Bullet Club, and he has both the IWPG and
GP.
and the Intercontinental title.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Sin City, please explain to me.
Sure.
This guy seems like he is about business.
So here's the long story short. Is you had Evil win and finally break out and win the New Japan Cup championship tournament. He defeated Kazuchika Okada in the finals of that tournament. So for someone with the past track record of Evil to knock off Okada in the finals, who Okada has been referred to by some as the greatest wrestler of our generation. So New Japan, put enough stock into Evil to have him go over Okada in the finals and win the New Japan Cup tournament. Now, what happens when someone wins the New Japan Cup tournament is the next event, which takes place the very next day, they always have an IWGP Heavyweight Championship match. And it just so happens that Evil was a stablemate with Tetsuya Naito, who was the leader of LIJ, and who also happened to be holding both the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship title belts. So the decision was made back at Wrestle Kingdom to put both of those championship belts onto Naito. Now, Naito has had a really interesting kind of a track record in his career in that he almost had the Roman Reigns syndrome, where he was pushed up to the top very, very quickly. Fans rejected him very, very badly. And he went onto an excursion, something that New Japan is known for doing. They will send their competitors to a different country. And we saw it in Impact, actually, where Shinsuke Nakamura and Kazuchika Okada went to Impact, and they both wrestled as part of the Impact roster. And they got some seasoning and all that kind of stuff. And then they came back to New Japan with revised gimmicks, and they basically got shot up to the moon after they came back. So Naito came back, and his excursion just so happened to be in Mexico at AAA. And so I mean he wrestled there, did his thing, and he founded Los Ingobernables de Japón, LIJ, in New Japan. One of the guys that was in that stable with Naito was Evil. Now, Evil is a homegrown talent that New Japan has been actually grooming as being a blue chip kind of a talent since 2017. So they've been grooming him and kind of building him up slowly but surely to take over the top spot for about 3 years now. But it's something to where it finally took Evil turning on Naito the night before the championship match. So after the same night as he won the New Japan Cup tournament, he turns on his buddy, his now former stablemate Naito, and that went down. So the stage was set for Evil to get the monster push on it'd be the 11th of July. So he ended up leaving LIJ and joining up with the Bullet Club. Now, the reason why that happened is because COVID-19 has forced the hand of a lot of wrestling promotions. This is another instance where the person who was installed as the leader of the Bullet Club was Jay White. Jay White is currently exiled from Japan because of travel restrictions. So they had to pull the trigger, and all signs pointed to making the shift, bringing Evil into the Bullet Club, which Bullet Club has from the beginning, they've essentially been a parody of American wrestling stables. Okay. They were patterned after stables such as the NWO, and, DX to some extent. But mainly they were patterned after the NWO. So what you saw in the championship match between Evil and Naito is you saw run-ins after run-ins after run-ins. And it was one of those things where eventually, by the time that it was all said and done, you saw a guy come out in a mask wearing LIJ gear to what everybody thought would be to save and back up Naito. And guy, instead turns, attacks Naito, lays him out. He takes off his mask, and
he took off his mask in public.
Yeah. Yes. So
it's like he was waiting for that.
Yeah, I know, right? Strange how that works. So he takes off the mask, and underneath of the mask is Japanese wrestler Dick Togo, who's actually been around for 30 years. Yes, Dick Togo. If you're just reading it, his name looks like Dick Togo. So
is that offered with Uber Eats or
I guess it is Uber Eats, man. You get your side of Dick Togo. But no, the American audiences might remember that Dick Togo was actually a part of the ECW Barely Legal show. He was a part of a 6-man tag match that night. But outside of that, yes.
Come on, hit his highlight of his career.
Indeed. He was a member of Kai and Tai in WWE as well. I was getting there. Calm yourself down. So choppy your pee-pee. Yes, he was involved in that storyline, if you remember that. Dick Togo, people are saying that Dick Togo will be Evil's manager, as has been the case, where they bring in a veteran wrestler to mentor or to be a mouthpiece for their top blue chip talents in New Japan. So I mean, this is very formulaic. It's something that they've been doing for quite some time. I'll be honest, when I initially saw that Evil was getting this push, I was surprised, to say the very least. And it was only upon like going back and doing a little bit of research, seeing the constant build that they've done for this guy, that at the end of the day, it all makes sense. Signs point to it being there being some continuity there. Fun fact, by the way, is Evil is engaged to NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai. So, Yeah. So
now hold on, time out, because Impact's very upset by that.
I know. I just had to break his heart, man. I'm sorry.
He for sure don't like him now. He for sure don't like him now.
Yeah.
He's definitely evil.
I was going to say, it's about time Evil is actually evil. Because prior to this, Evil was in LIJ, which was a kind of a rebel, kind of a anti-hero type of a stable. So now he's actually evil. So it makes sense.
Yeah, but if he looks in the mirror, he's live.
Very true. As are we right now.
Let me ask you one more question regarding New Japan. This was just someone I was doing my back to work now, doing my jobs, and the guy was telling me, New Japan Pro, I'm finding that I am not as entertained as I have been before, and I think what's missing is there's not. I guess I was used to seeing some of the American wrestlers that used to be a part of this, and I'm not seeing it. And now I'm beginning to see the same old sort of Japanese wrestlers, which I've seen them for so long now battle against each other. So
there's kind of a reason for that.
We understand, but right, exactly. But do you find that to be what he's saying? That would you say that New Japan has not been as watchable as it has been, because of that being the reason?
So it's one of those things where this kind of ties into everything just coming together the way that it has. Naito holding both of the belts, both the heavyweight championship and the Intercontinental Championship, should have been a crowning moment and a crowning achievement for him. This should have been his his welcoming to the main stage, if you will, of being a central figure in New Japan. But obviously, immediately after, COVID reared its ugly head, and we've had to adapt completely. So it's unfortunate, because Naito's title run will actually go down as just him almost being looked at as a transitional champion, and it really should never have been that way. And I guess that you could say that it's true to his overall storyline and story arc through his entire career, because he's not getting what he really deserves, if you will. The first time he was pushed to the moon, fans rejected it. They pissed all over it, gave him the Roman Reigns treatment, and immediately, next thing you know, he's gone and in a different country. And now he's given both championship belts, winning, the 2 championship belts at Wrestle Kingdom in January. And now because of COVID and because of everything going on, they finally pull the trigger on Evil, because they need a leader for the Bullet Club. And now it's almost like as if this title run has been squandered. But make no mistake, this has not been a hot potato kind of a championship. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship has changed hands 5 times in, I believe, the last 6 years. So by no means is it a thing where they shift the title around on a regular basis or very frequently at all. So
no, you know what? I was going to ask Steve something. You made a very interesting point earlier when you were saying how new $22.95.
I like it.
I don't know what that is, but okay. I was looking to see what it says. Anyways, I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Anyways, do you think how they were able to, take their talent whenever they're not welcomely received, have them go to a different country? Do you see something like that would be great? If obviously the promotion probably wouldn't be a WWE thing, or maybe it could be. I don't know. Do you think that would be helpful in situations with other promotions more on the Western part of the world?
Well, it's territory wrestling 101. I mean, that was something that has been done for years in Japan, but even prior to that, it was done in the territories around in the United States. So, I mean, if you would have somebody that would be stale, not getting a reaction, or whatever the situation was, then they would lose a loser leaves the promotion type of a match, or they would, be written off of television. But obviously there's in some cases there's not television. So they were written out of the promotion. Meanwhile, they would go elsewhere to another territory, another state, another region, and they would get more seasoning. They would be able to pick up the way that things are done in a different part of the country or in a different country. I'm in 100% agreement that should actually be taking place more frequently. I think that more people should be, shifted to NXT. I mean, we just got done talking about Cesaro. I think that could make a world of a difference if he shifted down to NXT, where he, I feel that he could, have a run. Fuck it, throw the NXT championship on him for a couple of months and have him play up, have him be very European, have him, come out, be the snooty European dickhead, and have him have a run with the championship. That's another one that's free. You're welcome, NXT writing staff. Fuck it, put him with fucking Imperium if you want.
That would be. I was just about to say that. You was thinking the same thing I was thinking.
Have him be the ringleader of Imperium.
Yep.
I mean, it's right there for him.
Walter.
I'm well aware of Walter. Walter doesn't want to move to the States, so right now he's screwed.
Yeah.
Walter has gone on record saying that he does not want to move to the States. That's why he was thrust into the UK championship.
No, but
what?
He said, "Do you blame him?"
Well,
look, I will say
can't
this.
say no.
Watching the little clip that I watched, it was one thing that was great to see was an audience.
Yes,
it was a packed show, and they had their mask on, and but it was great to see people back in. So America,
they were all sex dolls.
They were what?
Sex dolls.
Yeah, well,
by the way, thank you to King Lucky for donating those.
Well, I want to say, hey, thank you much, Sin City Steve, for that. That was a lot of good information you gave and got us up to date. So we'll see where this goes from here with Evil. We will jump right over to UFC 251 Fight Island. King Lucky, Simon Street. I know you guys both watched this. King Lucky, tell me, was this what it was supposed to be about?
Yeah, so let's start off. I just want to, before we go to the main card, really quickly, just get to know the name Jiri. He in the prelims, he was the finale in the prelims, devastating knockout, and he's a new addition to the 205 light heavyweight division. So be on the lookout for him. The main card, however, started off with Amanda Ribas and Paige Van Zandt. Paige Van Zandt was coming back from injury, had been out for a while. Unfortunately, it didn't matter. She got tapped out, which Ribas looks like she's going to be a pretty big star in the future. She has all the tools. She's a great grappler, and she's got the personality too. So I think she's going to do well in the UFC. Going on, you had Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas, which their last fight was incredible. Rose was winning the fight and then got slammed on her head and got knocked out. So this fight coming back, Rose basically retooled everything, came out striking, looking really good, and put it on her. And it was a good fight. That went to the division. Next up, bantamweight division, Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. Jesus Christ. That fight, I'll tell you what, Aldo started off looking really good. Really good, impressive. But what he did was he abandoned what made him so good during his early years, which was leg kicks. He would punish people, cripple them with leg kicks. And he was doing well, started off well with them, and then slowed down for whatever reason. And the end of the fight, he was just getting the shit beat out of him. I mean, he was mounted, and the guy was playing his runs on his head. Peter Yan,
5 minutes, right?
Yeah, Peter Yan just made him look really bad. So Peter Yan crowned the new bantamweight champion. Well deserved. I mean, Jose Aldo's no slouch. And then the next fight, which was the robbery.
Robbery. Glad you said that.
The robbery. So this was a rematch as well, too. Alexander Volkanovski versus my boy Max Bless Holloway. The first fight, Max just looked like he was tired, and he had been a long-standing champion for a long time, but he got beat. And so he came back, retooled, and he was looking great. And the fight went to decision, 5 rounds. But Max, I thought, controlled the first 3 rounds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Alexander kind of, so Alexander looked dead in the water. But then the last 2 rounds came back and, started to put it on. But everybody, the general consensus thinks that it was a robbery.
Wow.
Max should have gotten the W.
Now let me ask you this question. Did you see when that fight happened? I think it was either the second round or the third round where Max Holloway did a I think it was just regular high kick, right leg to the back of his head. Did you see his top of his right foot swell up like I did? I felt like that played a little bit in the part eventually to him slowing down in the fourth.
Yeah.
Is that something you saw as well?
His movement wasn't, his movement's always very good. The way he cuts angles and works combos and stuff like that. So I think they'll probably run that one back. Everybody, even like the writers and, most people consider that fight to be for Max Holloway. So he got robbed.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in the main event, you had my boy Jorge Masvidal stepping in on 6 days' notice.
6 day notice.
6 days' notice, coming out with Scarface, "The World Is Yours" as his theme song, which was great. But Kamaru Usman showed why he's the champion. I'd really like to see this fight again.
Boo.
I'd really like to see this fight again with Jorge Masvidal on a full training camp.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be a little bit more competitive. He went out there and just was guns blazing from like the opening bell and threw everything into every shot. But the reason why Simon Street didn't like Kamaru Usman, Kamaru Usman had the complete game plan. He used foot stomps, shoulder pops, wrestling. Everything he did was exceptional.
It was legal.
It was legal.
It was legal.
It was good. So, I mean, Usman did what he had to do. Masvidal was a game, like his name, game break. He was a game opponent, but Usman got the W. So it was a hell of a show. And as I mentioned earlier, you got Fight Island coming up again this Wednesday, baby. So the hits just keep on rolling.
Now, let me ask you this question. Everybody watched SmackDown, even though it sucked total Raw, you know what, right?
Yeah.
Did y'all notice they gave away the Usman fight on Friday Night SmackDown, FS1 at the bottom? Because technically it happened. I got it taped and didn't realize it until because I rewatched SmackDown this morning just because I wanted to see a couple things.
Yeah.
They showed it on the bottom. So if anybody taped it, how FS1 on SmackDown shows the bracket at the bottom. They showed Usman winning. And I was thinking to myself, like, I taped this on Friday. Now, technically, if you look at the time zone where they're at, it made sense. They said, whatever, instant news, whatever it's called. They showed that.
It's 16 hours difference. So
that
would be.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I'll tell you what.
It's crazy.
The UFC left Fox for ESPN, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did pull that. So, but yeah, overall, the UFC Fight Island, they've got a couple more cards on the island. So this Wednesday, Saturday, we just got a bunch of fights coming up, and it's going to be exciting.
I have read that this Wednesday was going to be tough for ratings, period, because outside of what you just said with UFC, apparently NASCAR is doing something big on that day too.
NXT, AEW, and it's pretty big day.
Yeah, it's going to be a big day for ratings.
You just put NASCAR in with all that.
Hey,
there's a certain market.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, where I'm from in Louisiana and all the southern states, NASCAR is BIG. I'm gonna be real with you. I grew up with my grandfather watching NASCAR.
No matter how you want to slice it, they will have a cut of those ratings.
Yep.
Make some damn left turns, boys.
There you go. Hey, but I will say about the what I noticed with UFC and why I'm excited, and I don't watch it as regularly as King Lucky does. You know, I'll catch it whenever I can. I liked that from start to finish, from what I saw, everything looked well, like a well fine-tuned, oiled machine. They continue some things that they've always done with the regular shows, having the Twitter feeds pop up. I thought that was good that they continued that. And I got to be honest with you. By the time Wednesday comes, we're going to start seeing some real numbers for UFC. There's a bright future for them. I mean, they already got a future, but there's a bright future. And I see a lot of people who may not want to watch wrestling that much and may want to watch UFC. I'm going to be real with you because there's something to offer.
All right. Well, there we go, fellas. We have completed our wrestling talk. It was entertaining
we didn't talk about Peyton Royce going to AEW. That's
Jesus.
Well, I tell you what. Let's get our final thoughts together so we can give our shout outs and everything, and then we will end the show. So let's start off with you, King Lucky. Final thoughts for the show, man.
Thank you guys for listening. We just ask that you listen, subscribe, and review. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of you.
No doubt. Let me go to you, UFC bandwagon fan. I mean, Simon Street.
I didn't say that.
Someone else put it down there for you.
Yeah, reading.
Of course. Hey, you know what? I should have known because I didn't get mute this whole fucking show. So something was coming.
Yeah, man. What's your final thoughts, man? What you got?
I was waiting to see if I got muted. That's what I was waiting for. No. But anywho, everybody, like I said. I knew it was coming.
That's awesome.
Oh man, awesome sauce. Everybody, there's a lot of things that still going on in the world, uncertainty, but let's also look at the bright spots that we do have. And as we talk about on this show, we talk about our love, our passion of wrestling and combat sports and other things in between. Take the opportunity to do that. You could have a better day just by looking at what you do have. It may not be what you had 6 months ago or whatever, but if you look at the small things, you'd be surprised how great off you are than what you could be.
All right. Thanks for that, man. Sin City Steve, man. Go ahead.
I'd just like to give thanks to everybody who's watching the show, listening to the show, liking, sharing, subscribing, hanging out with us in the chats on Facebook and in YouTube. So we definitely love hanging out in there with you guys, talking to you guys, reading your messages on the show. So please, we typically do these shows on Sunday nights, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So, jump on, just go to our fan page right there. Not our only fan page. We don't have one of those. Trust me, you don't want us to have one of those. But no, seriously, jump on to Facebook Sunday night, starting at 8 o'clock Pacific time, and join in the conversation with us. And as always, like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Rep Sports. So they've got everything for your pre-workout, your weight loss, your energy drinks, all that kind of fun stuff. They got fucking protein popcorn. So just go to repsports.com, REPP sports.com, go shopping, have fun. And above all else, use the coupon code Vegas at checkout and you'll get 15% off. So repsports.com, coupon code Vegas, and we'll definitely talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. Matt Michaels.
Good
night. All right, you all. Again, thank you all for listening. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation. #Vegas BadBoyz. That's with a Z of podcasting. All of our social medias, just keep it unlocked, and we will see you when we see you next week.